I find that the propaganda coming out of governments and media now is disgraceful. It's leading the average Phil and Jane into all sorts of errors and mistakes. You know, you can see the simple thing, right? Let me say, I happen to think that the recent rise in interest rates put up by the Fed so quickly elsewhere, I believe that was more political than economic, because during the pandemic, people began to see what a waste of their life it is to commute from the suburbs into town for a job that often didn't pay very well. They'd had enough, and there was a lot of people around the world didn't want to go back in office. There's no reason why many of them had to go back into the office. They could be working and doing just effectively from outside it, from home. This doesn't preserve the status quo. It was a really big shift. So I happen to think, and of course, people were getting to save those earnings. They could put it towards other things, and all the commute and everything else that was costing. In England itself, the commute from the suburban commuter belt into London is very expensive. They didn't want to do it anymore. But, the establishment can't have that. You can't have workers in control. You cannot. And so I think the rise in interest rates was as much political as economic, because the ruling class, the political class, they needed the workers back in the office. They needed them back at their desks. And what better way to do that than to lift interest rates really quick, really fast, which means that you've got to spend much, much more on a mortgage. You have to get back to work. You have to get back to doing things the way they were. Get educated, because if you get educated, you can make yourself free from the system, and you can make yourself no longer a wage slave. And it's really, really important, really seriously important. Otherwise, you're just a slave to the system. You're a slave to the banks. You're a slave to government, and you just get jostled from left to right. You're just not in control of the situation, right? You must get educated. And the elite, the political elite, and those in control, they don't want you educated. They really don't.